It's a slow day today. We're only automating steel ingots, concrete, steel pipes, wire, rotors, stators, quartz crystal, silica, plastic, and rubber. Help. What's up, everyone? My name's Ollie, and welcome to Barely Building. Today's plan is to turn all of the raw materials left into products ready for processing into our uranium fuel rods. So quite a bit to do today, but we can break the plan up into 3 steps. 1 is to process rotors and stators. 2 is to deal with all the quartz and silica. And then finally to automate some rubber and some plastic. And that means we finally get to place the first machines inside the giant uranium fuel rod. And as big as this thing looks, we're going to be playing roulette with how much space we have in here, for sure. A quick mention of our cool community wall. We've had so much support since the last vid. This place is getting filled up really quickly. So thanks again, everyone, and just sub here or follow on Twitch, and I'll get your name up here on the wall. And just make sure to drop a comment, just so I know you've subbed or whatever. It doesn't always tell me. Okay, on to the plan. I want to get the refineries out of the way first, as they're big and really annoying machines to place. So we need 9 for the iron. Stick 6 down there. And we need 3 to process our concrete. And this is going to leave a little bit of space in the middle where we can stick a constructor. And this is going to make iron wire, as we don't want to use any copper or as little copper as possible in these builds. So I've put this blueprint together for the wire. Just added a few little accents in there. Got inputs on the top, outputs on the bottom. And we had space for a row down here. So we had 9. And then we've just gone halfway up, kind of halfway up the refineries, just to make the most of the space. As, yeah, you can start to see that maybe we don't have enough space, but I'm going to let future me worry about that. For today, we're just going to keep plowing in machines and see where we get to. And thankfully, these 3 nodes make up all of the iron that we need. So with a very quick cut, we can feed the iron in through here into the underneath of the fuel cell, and we're going to use underneath here for some logistics for moving belts and resources around. Something I really recommend doing with big builds, because it's easier to troubleshoot now than later. Run everything into an awesome sync, let it run for a little while, and just check the numbers match what you've planned. So with that, our iron is done using the pure recipe, and our 2,300 or so iron wire gets ticked off the list. And next we need to process the steel. So we're using standard steel ingots, and we need some concrete with the wet concrete recipe. We'll combine them to make steel pipes, and using the alternate steel rotor, that means rotors and stators get made with the same materials. Our coal is being fed in by train, so we can take that in through the wall here, and we just use the leftover iron we've got from the iron ingots, and that can feed into 9 foundries, which fits nicely in here, thankfully. That can be fed up to make the steel beams. Most of the limestone we need is also right next to the base, so we can just run those in with belts, which then we can feed up into some more foundries, another 9 to make all the steel pipes we need, and then that just gets fed into some assemblers. Section of blueprints making rotors, a section of blueprints making stators, neither of which we need right now. So we're just going to connect that up to an awesome sync, leave that running for a bit just so we can test the throughput, make sure that's making how many we need. We can tick off concrete, ingots, beams, stators, and rotors. So that's 168 stators and 168 rotors. They're not used till the final steps, so we can move on and start processing quartz crystal and silica. The silica assemblers can only handle 5 machines per output belt. So I've just modified the rotor blueprint a little bit so we can have 5. We need to build 18 of these. So we'll just put 3 blueprints and then 3 machines to make that up. And quartz crystal, we just modified the iron wire blueprint to make quartz crystal instead. All the outputs are fine for 1 belt, so this is great as it is. We needed 1 more pure node of limestone, so we just grabbed this one from up here, ran that in with a belt, and we've had to run through here, so it's time to take down our throughput test of the quick wire. I'm sure it's fine. So we'll get that deleted in a minute. Quartz Crystal was easy enough. It's just a little bit of creative logistics. We're going to fill this back in later, but we have 520-ish Quartz Crystal, which is exactly what we need. And then upstairs, we have limestone and quartz feeding up here, which is making our silica. We're just checking the throughput just to make sure we're making enough of what we need. So while that runs, we'll leave that running in the background. That makes quartz crystal and silica ticked off the list. And then all that's left to do today, the circuit boards, the AI limiters, a few other bits, we need some plastic and some rubber. And we're going to make that in this oil field out here. We have 450 crude oil left. As much as we'll get this oil back, it's not going to be for a while. So I'm going to show you how we're going to turn 450 crude oil into 600 rubber and 600 plastic. So the standard recipe will only give you 20 plastic per 30 crude oil, which is nowhere near good enough for what we need. But by utilizing some alternate recipes, we can turn that into a significantly higher number. So the first recipe is heavy oil residue. We're going to take the heavy oil residue and turn that into diluted fuel, which is going to give us a significantly more amount of fuel. And then you just need 2 refineries, one using the recycled rubber recipe and one using the recycled plastic recipe. We input the fuel into each one. We take half of the output from this machine, so we can, for argument's sake, we'll just do it like this with a smart splitter. We'll take half of the output, and we'll take the standard output out the front, and we feed that into the machine at that belt, that splitter. And then this output becomes, in this case, 30 plastic. 30 of it will get sent round to feed this refinery. 30 of it becomes our output. And then we do the same with this one. You take the overflow output, the any output, and you feed it into this one. And then the standard output becomes your 30 rubber. After a bit of building and a bit of designing, which we did over on a live stream. So go follow on Twitch and you can join us for doing these. We've got heavy oil residue processing, fuel processing. This moves round into a row making plastic and a row making rubber. And then the smart splitters just send the outputs to the inputs and the overflow to storage. And this setup gives us 600 plastic and 600 rubber from a small input of 450 crude oil. And the train station's all connected up. So we've got our resources moving back to the fuel rod. We've done a light decoration pass around here. And with that build is done. And that's the bulk of the raw material processing all done. All that's left to do is sulfur and uranium, but they don't get touched until the very last 2 stages. Next time, we can work on actually making the first uranium fuel rod of the whole playthrough. Until then, guys, please consider a sub if you're enjoying the content and drop a comment saying I subbed or something just so I can see it, and I will get you up on the community wall. But for now, I'll see you in the next one.